In this video, we're going to be making this slot wall, which is sort of like a combination of a slot wall that you can buy or make and a cleat wall, kind of the best of both worlds. And for now, one holder to put on here to see how it works. So come along with me as we slice this up in the table saw, mount it to the wall, and see if the darn thing works. I need to make umpteen cuts through this plywood on the table saw, and I think the only way to manage that and do a good job is to split it in half and then rejoin it again later on the wall. One coat of poly on here now will be a lot easier to do than after I cut the slots and get it mounted on the wall. So here's the setup to cut those 45-degree slots. First of all, this outfeed table is about a ½ an inch below my table saw, which is fine. When I have it switched around the way it's supposed to be, this side of the floor is a little bit higher. So it drops off a little bit. That's the way I want it. But for this, I don't want the slots to be uneven depth. So I have pin nailed, I'm already nailing into my bench, this strapping on both sides to catch it so the plywood doesn't bow down at all. Then I have cut a 2x4 to fit into these slots in my horses to give me an infeed side. So I will have help holding it up, and it won't sag on this side at all. It'll be uniform height. It's cut level with the saw here. Blade is set at 45 degrees at the depth that I want to make a slot that goes about 80% through the wood. And the varnish side is face down, and I'm ready to first of all cut a 45 edge on here. And the reason that I'm cutting that 45 edge is I cut this piece of plywood in half. So that 45 edge on both pieces is going to be separated slightly when I screw it to the wall, and that itself is going to be another slot. So it should look pretty much like one sheet of plywood once I get it up, but by splitting it half, it made it rather manageable for me, which it wouldn't have been otherwise. And I'm really worried about the slots not being straight. When you're going on a table saw with a long piece of wood, plywood, it can weave a little bit. One little miswobble and I'm going to have a slot that's going to look out of place. Fingers crossed. So there's the slot, and it looks pretty straight. I think it's going to be okay. Well, I've got umpteen of these more to go, so I'll be back when they're done. It's going to be a while. Well, there it is. Cutting all those slots took a minute, that's for sure. I've got where the two pieces of plywood meet along this line. For some reason, it's tighter in the middle and opens up a little wider on both ends. And for the life of me, I can't find a measurement that says that the two pieces are not square, or that they're the same width all the way across. So I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I'm trying to even out the gap on both ends, and I'll just have to live with it, I guess. Well, the next step will be framing it. These two blocks underneath are temporary. It was to hold up the first piece so I could put one screw right there, put the other piece on top, and put the other screw right up there. I hope this works because it was a lot of work. And so you can see what this is. It is a bunch of 45-degree angles cut into this plywood. I have a lot of slots here. They go in about 3/4 of an inch. So a piece of flat bar about an inch or an inch and a half to go in here and also into the thing that I'm trying to hang should work pretty good. Let's get a view from the end here. 8 foot, or just shy of 8 feet. And let me show you the gap that I was talking about. And it is right here. And if you come across, oops, right here. It is right here. And if you come across, it gets tighter. I had to make it completely tight. And then as you go down here, it widens out again. This is where the two pieces of plywood meet. As you can see, they're pretty tight here, so I will not be able to use the slot. I might, if I get brave enough, take my circular saw, tilt it at 45, and recut this angle right on the wall. If I did that, it would open up the slot. Well, this is where we do the dance to switch things around. I had the table saw and the outfeed table set there because I was cutting this large sheet of plywood, but the best configuration is for the saw to go on this side and the outfeed table to go over here. But not too much room to move these two large things, so it becomes sort of a dance to try to make room for one and make room for the other. And it's time for me to connect the dust collector back to the saw. I cut all of those slots in there without it, and I had about 10 gallons of sawdust just from that. So I've got to do that now. Now this is the easy one to connect because I have a 2 horsepower dust collector down in the garage that's just dedicated to the saw because it produces so much sawdust. And it also sucks it up really good because, it's the only thing on it. So now we're reconfigured. As you see right here, I've pre-drilled some recessed holes that I will plug later after I get the screws in. I'm prepping some 2x4s to slice up to use to frame the slot board. Normally, I'd rabbet a frame to overlap the edge, but I want to be able to hang stuff off the edge of the frame, and in order to do that, I have to have it flush. Well, next, those came out pretty good. Next, I'm going to make some plugs to put in these areas where the screws went. Always looks a little bit framed in, you know? Looks a little bit better that way. This is a plug maker. As it drills down, the top end of the plug is slightly tapered compared to the bottom end. And then you just pop them out with a chisel. These usually cut pretty clean if you cut with the grain. And it's just fitting that I make the first tool holder for my new Bosch battery-powered circular saw. So the angles were a little tricky as it's not an equilateral triangle, but it came out pretty good. There has to be a slot for the blade and blade guard to sit in. So I think the table saw is the best way of doing it. I considered routing it, but this setup would have taken more time than it was worth. The reason the blade is so high is to get as much of a square cut at the end as I can. The reason for the two slots in the back was that I determined the first one was a little bit too deep. So from now on, I'll be making the lower, shallower one instead. I've cut off a piece of 1/8 by 1 inch flat bar. This piece happens to be 6 inches long, which is a little shorter than the tool holder is wide, so it won't show from the edges much. Most standard kerf table saw blades make a cut that is 1/8 or slightly larger than 1/8 wide. So this 1/8 flat bar is the perfect choice. I'm grinding off the burrs here and rounding over the corners so that they'll slide into the slots on the wall a little easier, possibly. If anyone is wondering why the racing welding helmet, the simple reason is it was on sale. That's it. Well, that seems pretty solid in there. I don't want to do too much. I want to wait for the glue to dry. And I've got to get some maybe super glue, which I have, but I can't find it in all the rearranging I've done here. super glue to glue the metal piece into the holder so I can slide it in here and lift it out. This is good. I'm not sure if the battery will fit in there. Two things about this type of thing is one, you know, first time doing it, so you keep your fingers crossed. And secondly, if something shouldn't work out exactly like you wanted to, you can always just, oh yes, it does fit. Just clears it right there. You can always take some more scrap plywood and make another holder. Now what I'm hoping to do with this wall is instead of spreading things out all over it, I'm hoping to make things a little more three-dimensional. So this is three-dimensional, but you know, it'll be spread out a little bit. But some small cabinets, things like that, so that stuff builds out, because I got plenty of room here that I don't need. And my other cleat wall just had little flat things spread all over it. And this one should conserve space a little bit by making things a little more three-dimensional and allowing me to put more things on it, and probably also looking a little neater, because there just won't be a whole bunch of haphazard stuff all over the place. So we will call this slot cleat wall that I first saw on Wilkerson's YouTube page. Check her out. She's worth it. Got a lot of good stuff in a variety of things, not just woodworking. And I like it better than, so far, time will tell, I like it better than my cleat wall because it's neater looking on the wall, and the mechanism I think is going to hold really good, and I don't have to worry about things teetering like on a cleat wall or bracing it up or doing things. And when I lift things off, it doesn't pull the cleat out. So fingers crossed for this. I have a lot more air compressor. I have a lot more things to put on here, and the reason I wanted to make this wall now and not wait till I totally cleaned up is because a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be cleaning up is going to go here. So now I have a place maybe to put things, and I will either put things aside in a bin, getting ready to make some of these holders, or I will actually make them as I go along and put things on the wall. This is one more part in a series of reorganizing a shop after 25 years of doing it the first time. I'm made a big dent in it as far as reorganizing stuff, but there is so much little stuff I need to reorganize and other changes that I need to make that it's going to be an ongoing project for a little while. But if you have a shop, you know, sometimes that can be the fun part. And I do want to say something, because I did have one comment. And I made this comment myself. There are so many people who spend so much time organizing their shop and reorganizing and rebuilding it and making things look prettier and making jigs and so forth. And you never see them make much of anything. Just take a look at the rest of my YouTube channel. You'll see all manner of cabinetry and furniture and boats and campers that I've done over the last 20 to 25 years. So I make a lot of stuff, but this is time to redo the shop. And I don't do this much, so it's a fraction of the time compared to the other stuff that I've done. So once again, thank you for watching. I hope somebody got something out of this. I just like to share it. And if you have a mind, hit the like button and maybe subscribe. When people are searching for cleat walls or slot walls or tool organization, this might, you know, come to the surface a little bit more. If you do that, I'd appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day. Till the next time.